All right, Fran, the stage is yours. God bless you, sir.
Well, thank you. So I guess I came in here to kind of talk about entrepreneurship in general. But before I jump into all that, I think it's fair to say, I guess I'm going to introduce myself. But before I even jump into all that, I just want to say, like, I've known Pastor Glory for a while now. We've connected. He's invited me to his church, and I can boldly say on a core level that he's just a good person from the heart. So I just want to express my gratitude to you once again for doing something like this, for everything that you do, trying to help others and trying to inspire others as well. Now, I am not a pastor like you, but I love to preach and I love to teach, people just how to live a productive life, how to live their best life, how to become an entrepreneur, and how to work on your leadership and just how to really win in this thing that we called life. Lots of people have poured into my life over the years, and I think I've dedicated myself now moving forward to pour into other people's lives as well, to reciprocate what has been given to me. So just to share my story very quickly, my name is Frank. I was born in a small village somewhere in Nigeria. I grew up not really having much, but I'm super grateful to my parents because they always had vision in life. And it's because of them, the stepping stone that they made, and what they did is that has enabled me and empowered me to be able to be here today. So I just want to thank them for what they do. They found themselves moving from city to city, village to village, state to state, always in search for better opportunities, and they always took me along. So I kind of learned one thing or the other. And it's funny when I look at my parents, on one hand, when I look at my mom, she's this entrepreneurial kind of a person, right? She loves to create, she loves to try new things, she loves to start a business. And one thing that she never really had was the patience to do one thing for a very, very long time. And then I look at my dad on the other hand, he's like this ultimate patient individual, right? He could do one thing for 50 years if no one told him to do anything different. And so those are my parents. And when I look at myself, I seem to have married the best of both worlds. On one side, I love to create. I love to, start businesses. I love to try new things. And I'm just that kind of a go-getter individual. On the other side, like my dad, I have this tremendous amount of patience and I could stick to something like a stamp until it delivers. So that's me. My parents always told me that education was the key to success, and they tell almost everyone that as well. Especially from people from my background, from my culture, from my tradition. It's just the mentality that education is the way out, right? And that's great. I believe education is important. I think we should have it, but I don't necessarily think that it's the way to achieve success in this economy that we're living in today in any part of the world. It is a great stepping stone, but it's not the ultimate. So they instilled that belief in me from earlier on, like you need to go to school, graduate, get the best a degree. Either you're a doctor, you're an engineer, or you're a lawyer, or you're a loser, right? If you're not one of those three, it's not happening. So they instilled that in me and I believed in it. I thought by the time I graduate, everything would be great. I ended up graduating and I couldn't even find a job in the field that I studied. And I remember I moved to the Republic of Ireland in 2009 for better opportunities. I moved to study. I was studying. I graduated, could not find a job, and next thing I did was to pursue my master's, which is what most people do today, right? They decide to further their education, and I did exactly that as well. And luckily, after my master's, I got a job. I started working as a software engineer, and I've been a software engineer for a very long time now. And you know, it's great. I remember I was very, very excited, but after the third year, that excitement started to dim a little bit. And I was wondering, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's the environment, maybe it's the culture, maybe it's this company. Let me change my environment and let me switch jobs. So I decided to do that, thinking that was a problem. The first year in my new job, I was excited again, but after a while, I was in the same position. I didn't feel like I was making an impact. I didn't feel like there was a burning desire in me to do more, to be more, and to have more. And I've always been eager for more. And the problem was I didn't really know what to do or even how to go about it. Entrepreneurship to me was just a thing that was floating on on the side of my ears. And it was not only I started to read a few books, I started to listen to a lot of podcasts, I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I started to understand that entrepreneurship is the way to break out of that rat race. It's the way to break out of that routine that we call Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And there's a lot of people out there today who really want to break out of that, who feel like they can make an impact in this world, who feel like they can do more. But the challenge is they don't really know what to do or how to do it. Okay. So that was me. I found myself in that position. And luckily, I got introduced to one of my first businesses and I got started and I embarked on the entrepreneurial journey and I thought it was going to be easy. My first 6 months, I thought that this was it. Everything was going to work out. But unfortunately, it wasn't so. Okay. And that is just a reality. Entrepreneurship is not something that you can just get started in and you can just make it work in 6 months or a year. It's something that you need to dedicate more time, more effort, and sometimes even more sacrifice for you to actually make that happen. And so, I started my first business. It was a direct marketing business. I was able to start my second one after time went on in 2016. I started, I created a company that enables basketball players to be able to find and connect with each other. I was able to create a mobile app for that. And then I went on to real estate investment. And so that's just, an idea of what I've been doing, what I've been spending my time on. I like to create new things, create new businesses and build a team and network and just be on that entrepreneurial journey. That is what really gives me a level of satisfaction. And what I really want to do is just spend a few minutes and I guess talk about the values of entrepreneurship, talk about what it is, talk about the values of entrepreneurship, and just talk about, maybe just share a few things and a few ideas on what it takes to win in this thing that we call entrepreneurship. So for me, entrepreneurship is like, there's no way around it. Look around you. Everything you see today was made by an entrepreneur, right? From the shoes that you're wearing to the clothes that you're wearing to the earrings to the house that you're living in, to the car that you're driving. Sometime long ago, somebody woke up and said, you know what? I'm not happy with the way things are. Okay. I think I can solve that problem. And then they went out there, they embarked on that journey, and they actually solved that problem. Right. So entrepreneurs are problem solvers, right? And to be honest, when I think about it, right, even God Himself is is the ultimate entrepreneur. Look at what He created. Look at the design, look at everything, and if we're made in His own image, I think that, we also have, every single one of us, we have that spirit of entrepreneurship inside of us as well. Sometimes we just need a trigger. Sometimes we don't just need a catalyst to unravel, to unleash that greatness, to unleash that, you know entrepreneurial spirit that we have inside of us is starting to do great things, to start walking on that journey. So entrepreneurship is important. My mentor used to say to me before, he was like, Frank, there are three types of people in the world, right? The first type of people are people who identify problems, and let's call them human beings because that's most people today, that's normal, right? The second type of people are people who actually find solutions to these problems, let's call them visionaries. But there's a small minority of people who actually go out there today and solve those problems, and we call them entrepreneurs. Okay, entrepreneurship to me is like is like a necessity to move humanity forward. So I encourage everyone to embark on that journey. When you look around today, there's about 400 million entrepreneurs in the world. 400 plus million. I don't think that's enough. That's about 4.5% of the population. If we're 8.5 billion today, that is certainly not enough. When you look around, there are people solving things. There are people, and I read a story in the article, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about a lady somewhere in Africa. She knew how to harness water from air in a very cheap way. We all know hydrogen and oxygen is already in the air that we breathe, right? She's found a way to harness the water in a very, very cheap way. That's going to solve a lot of problem for a lot of people in the near future moving forward. On the other side of the world, in Portugal, there are people coming up with, ways to heal cancer. They're coming up with technology. So these are entrepreneurs that are trying to solve problems. So I think if we can raise that number from 4.5% to about 20%, I think most of the problems that we have in the world today, most of them are going to be solved because we all have the power to create. We have been given that creation power by the creator to be able to do things, to be able to manifest things. And if you can think it in your mind, you can make it become a reality. And that's what we find that is happening in the world today. So for me, that's entrepreneurship in general. It's quite important. I guess I would talk about the values of entrepreneurship and what it can do for you, especially for the youths today. When I look at people, they have a job and they're happy with their job, and that's okay, right? But what I say to them is that safe is the new risky. Okay, I'll say that again. Safe is the new risky. Why do I say that? Because, for example, let's look at what just happened recently with the whole COVID situation. I don't know how it affected, places, some places around the world, but I know how it affected our area and some countries in Africa and in Europe and in America. Lots of people have come to now realize that if their only source of income is from their job, they're actually one step away from poverty. Okay, I'll say that again. If your source of income, your only source of income is from your job, you're actually one step away from poverty. Think about it, because if anything happens to that job, like what we just seen happen with COVID, where lots of businesses were shutting down, employers were firing employees, letting go of people because hey, there's no business, there's no customers, there's no money, and so people are finding themselves becoming redundant. People are finding themselves having to go on the social welfare over here in Europe. If it's a case in Africa, in Nigeria, for example, what social welfare are you going to get on, right? There is nothing waiting for you if you lose your job. So I hope this was a wake up call for a lot of people to recognize now that, you know what, I actually need to do something that can generate multiple sources of income for myself and for my family, so that we can be okay in the future. If something like this were to happen again, a global economic downturn or a pandemic that would cause something like that, it wouldn't be so much affected, right? So I say that again, safe is the new risky. Right. So you don't want to play it safe anymore. You want to embark on that journey. We know we've all heard the saying that formal education can make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. A lot of people talk about linear income. There's linear income, there's residual income, there's passive income, there's different types of income. All I'm trying to say is that people just need to understand the values of embarking on an entrepreneurial journey can actually give you that satisfaction financially. And it can also give you satisfaction in every other areas of your life as well. Let me explain, right? When you embark on a journey, and I'll use myself as an example, when you embark on that entrepreneurial journey, you find yourself becoming more. You find yourself doing things and stepping out of your comfort zone, and being able to work on yourself and your character and your development. And it's almost like you're working on becoming a better version of yourself because you're forced to. When you're starting a business or you're starting a company or whatever it is, you're forced to take certain actions that you would not necessarily have taken if you were, let's say, just playing it safe in a job or whatever it is you were doing before. So entrepreneurship really wakes up that that spirit inside of you to force you to level up, force you to start taking necessary steps and necessary actions. And you're going to see yourself growing. You're going to see yourself becoming more. You're going to see yourself developing certain areas that are going to help you in every area of your life. I was forced, when I started my journey, I was forced to start reading multiple books. This was not something that I did. The moment I graduated from my master's degree a long time ago, I never read a book. I never picked up any other book to read on my spare time or to learn anything new. But when I embarked on my entrepreneurial journey, I was forced to start reading several type of books just so I can expand my mind. The magic of thinking big is one of them, that it forces you to dream big, to think big, because what you think is what you become. Right? We all know the saying. So how big you think is going to dictate the type of results that you're eventually going to get in your life. So the values go beyond just financial benefits of entrepreneurship. The values and so many other things and so many other gains are just on different level that forces you to level up, right? And a few things that I have learned along my journey as well, that I think it's really helped people to actually win. in business, in entrepreneurship is, it's just like I mentioned before, thinking big. Everything starts with a dream. Okay, there's a saying that goes that dreams come a size too big so we can grow into it. Okay, dreams come a size too big so we can grow into it, because the person that you need to become to attain and to achieve that dream that you have in your mind, right? It's not who you are right now. You need to go through a transformation. You need to go through a complete paradigm shift. You need to rewire your mind. You need to become a better version of yourself. That's how you can attain those things, because success is not really something that you pursue, you chase after. Success is something that you attract, it comes to you. And how do you attract it to yourself? By the person that you become, the way you think, your character that you get, your leadership development. All these aspects could attract the right opportunities, the right people, the right environment, and the right circumstance for you to take yourself to the next level. So everything starts with a dream. And once you start working on towards that dream, execution is key. Right, you want to focus a lot on execution. There's a formula that I got from a book that I would love to share with everyone that has been helping me. I always have it at the back of my mind. The formula is R is equals A times S. Okay, so this is helpful for the mathematical minds on the call, right? R is equals A times S. It's just like A is equals B times C, right? R stands for results. Okay, results is equals A for action times S for skills. So results is equals action times skills. Just like the mathematical formula, if you take tremendous amount of action, right? So you have zero action and you have a lot of skills, what is the result going to be? Zero, right? But if you have zero, if you take zero, if you have zero skill, but you take all the action in the world, what is the result going to be? Zero. So what you want to do is find the sweet spots where you're increasing the actions that you're taking. You're taking all that massive action on the goals and the dreams that you're working towards, and at the same time, you're developing your skills. You're working on yourself. You're developing your leadership. You're working on your mind. So if you're taking massive action and you're working on yourself and you're taking massive action, the results that you're going to be getting at the end of the day is going to be higher. It's going to be better, and you're going to be satisfied with that type of result. So that's a formula that I've always used in every new thing I want to embark on, right? When I look at it, I'm like, okay, in order to get results in this, I need to obviously take massive action. But what's the point of taking massive action if I don't learn the skill, if I don't learn what it takes to actually achieve those things that I want to achieve? So that's just a formula you guys can take with you. I got it from a book. I can't remember. It's for about 7 years ago. It's a really long time. So pardon me if I can't remember the book, but it's something that has helped me, and I think it can help a lot of people as well. And then when you start that journey as well, I think patience is key. It's crazy when you look at our society today. It's been reduced to instant rice, instant noodle, instant oatmeal, and instant success. That's what our society has been reduced to today, right? People think if it doesn't happen straight away, it's not going to happen. And that's how they view entrepreneurship. That's why a lot of people get started. After 6 months, they don't see the type of results they get, they eventually quit. Right. So instant gratification has become a very, very big problem for our youths today. A lot of youths today, I'm part of many, many networks, startup networks, business networks, entrepreneur networks, leadership networks, and most of them have the great intentions, but because they lack that patience, because of instant gratification, they don't really allow the seed to flourish. They don't really allow it, give it time for it to see it become a reality, if that makes sense. So staying consistent is paramount. I don't know if anyone here knows John C. Maxwell. He's a guy, I call him the godfather of leadership. He's been teaching leadership for about 50 plus years, and a few things that I picked up and I learned from him. He talks about the rule of five, and an example I love to give is, imagine, say you wake up in the morning, right? You go to your back garden, and in your back garden there's a tree, right? And you have an axe at the back of in the garden as well. You pick up the axe and you hit that tree 5 times, just 5 times, right? You hit it on the same spot 5 times. You drop the axe, you go about your day. You wake up the next morning, let's say it's Tuesday, you go to your back garden again, you pick up the same axe and you look at the same tree and you hit the same tree on the same spot for just 5 times again. on the next day, and then you drop the axe, right? And then Wednesday the same thing, Thursday the same thing, Friday the same thing, and so on. If you keep doing that every single day, it doesn't matter how strong that tree is, eventually that tree is going to fall, right? You're going to conquer that tree. And that is the same with everything. If it's a bigger tree, it may take longer. If it's a smaller tree, it may take a shorter time. But if you keep hitting that tree in the same spot every single day, eventually that tree is going to fall. And this goes with for everything else that you do in life, and especially in entrepreneurship. You just keep staying consistent and keep doing what you need to do every single day, and you're going to get the results. Now, five things about this, right? Five quick things about this. It's important though that when you are staying consistent, you have to have a goal. So imagine you wake up, you go to the back garden, and there is no goal. There is no tree to fall down, to bring down, right? Nothing is going to happen. So it's important you have a goal when you're trying to be consistent. The second thing that is important is that you want to take massive action. Imagine you go to the back garden, you pick up the axe, but you never swing, right? You just pick it up, you look at it, you look at the tree, and you never swing. Nothing again is going to happen. The third thing is you need to have the right tool. So imagine you wake up in the morning, you go to your back garden, instead of picking up an axe, you pick up a baseball bat and you start hitting that tree. That's what a lot of people do today in business, in different areas of their lives as well. You start hitting that tree with a baseball bat. It doesn't matter how long you hit that tree. The chances are that that tree is not going to fall simply because you are using the wrong tool. So in everything that you're doing, make sure that you're using the right tool while you're staying consistent as well. The fourth thing is you want to stay focused on the same tree, on the same spot. Now, imagine if you picked up the axe in the morning, you went to the tree, and today you hit it on the bottom. The next day, you hit it at the top. The following day, you go to the other side and hit it from the back. If you keep doing that, you're all over the place. You're not focused. That it's going to take you a whole longer time, and that tree may not even fall because you're hitting it from different spots every single day. So it's important that you stay focused while you're staying, because when people hear consistency, they think, oh, I just have to keep doing the same thing and hope for the best. No, you have to be specific, you have to be focused, you have to have a certain level of intentionality with what you're doing. So you have to have the goal to bring down that tree. You have to make sure you use the right tool, right? Not using a baseball bat, for example, using an axe. If it's a tree that you want to bring down, you have to take the action. So you have to swing. If you don't swing, nothing is going to happen. You have to stay focused. You can't be hitting different trees or hitting multiple different places. You have to hit exactly the same spot. And finally, you have to stay consistent. So remember, I said every day. I didn't say Monday and the following week come back and hit the tree. I didn't say once a month. I didn't say once every 6 months or once every year. I said every day. You go wake up, pick up the axe, hit the tree on the same spot just 5 times and drop it. Next day you pick it up. So you have to be consistent, daily routine. Those 5 areas really, really embodies what consistency actually means. If you're not doing those, you're actually going to find it quite challenging to actually hit the goals that you want to hit. So for me, in terms of one of the major things that have actually helped me as well is surrounding myself with the right people. I think this is one of the most important and the most paramount thing that anybody can do, not just in entrepreneurship, but in life. If you're a youth, if you're trying to achieve greatness, if you're trying to make an impact in this world, put your foot stamp on something on this world before you leave this earth, you want to surround yourself with certain type of people that force you to level up. You want to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you, that are going somewhere, that have big dreams and big goals, and they want to make an impact. Because if you're in that environment, it's going to foster your spirits, it's going to foster your growth as well. The way I like to think of it like a seed. Let's say you take a seed, yeah, and you put a seed on, say, the kitchen tile, right? And you water it every single day on the kitchen tile. You let some sunlight touch it. It doesn't matter how long you do that, because that seed is on the kitchen tile, it's not going to germinate. Why? Because it's in the wrong environment. But if you take that same seed and you put that seed in soil, All of a sudden, if you water it and let some sunlight touch it, in a very short period of time, that seed is going to germinate. Why? Because now it's in the right environment. That seed is you and I. That seed is everyone. We all have that capacity to germinate, to blossom. We all have that capacity to grow into something better, someone better. Like I said before, we all have greatness inside of us, right? And sometimes a lot of people just need a trigger. I think it's just unfortunate that in most cases, a lot of people wait for trauma. They wait for heartbreak. They wait for diseases. They wait for something before they start changing the direction of their life. My question is, why wait? You know, why not start in bliss? Why not start when everything is going great? Okay, because it's going to take some time as well for that seed to germinate. So the earlier you start, the better it's going to be for you. It's the same. So if you're around the wrong environment, it's like you take a frog, for example, right? Think of a frog. If you put a frog in boiling water, right, that frog is going to dictate the temperature change, and he's going to jump out of that boiling water straight away. But if you take that same frog, right, and just put it on room temperature water, and then you turn the stove up just a little bit, that frog is going to remain in there and is probably going to boil to death because it didn't realize that the temperature was changing, because it was changing very slowly. That's where a lot of that goes for us as well. A lot of people find they are in certain environments, certain situations, certain places where they don't really see it. They think, oh, it's okay, everything is great. But down the line, 3 years later, 4 years later, they could see the results that they're, instead of them to elevate themselves because they're in the wrong environment, they're actually going backwards. Right. So that's how powerful the environment that you plug yourself in is. It's very, very vital. And it's one of the things that I can actually make you or break you. And as a youth, if you really have big goals and big dreams and you want to make an impact, surrounding yourself with the right people is key. Personal growth as well is key. Developing yourself, reading the right books, finding a mentor, someone that you can learn from. The advantage of having a mentor is because you want to learn from mentors are people who are proven, who are tested. They've done it, they understand, they've made mistakes. So you can learn from their mistakes. All right, you can learn, they can guide you. What took them 5 years to learn, to achieve, because they have it, they can just tell you how to achieve it in 2 or 3 years. That's the advantage of having the right mentors in place to actually help you get to that path and get to that goal a lot more quicker. And I think the final thing that I want to talk about this evening, that I think is very important as well, is leadership. Okay, I know probably someone else has already talked about leadership, so I'm not going to spend too much time elaborating on it. But leadership is very close to my heart. Leadership has become, the love of my life. I love talking about it. I do leadership workshops, everywhere in Ireland, in the UK, and you know, leadership today is, I think, if you're ever going to build anything of great significance in this lifetime, you cannot do it alone. Okay, you have to do it with people. You need to surround yourself with smart, intelligent people. In other words, you need to build a team. And if you're ever going to do anything that requires you building a team in this lifetime, you have to know how to lead a team. First, how to lead yourself, but more importantly, how to lead others, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You want to pour into your life, right? And let your cup run it over so you can begin to pour into the lives of the people around you. So leadership to me is vital. There's so many different mentors out there that teach about leadership, and they can empower you on things you need to learn. Leadership is not just, it's like a language. It's communication skills. It's how you interact. It's who you are as an individual. It's not just a skill that you pick up and that's it. You never really arrive as a leader. It's continuous. You're always becoming, you're always growing, you're always learning, you're always going to be, because the world is changing. And if the world is changing, we all have to change and we all have to adapt to it. So leadership is not a noun. It's rather, I would call it a verb. It's action. It's doing. Leaders pave the way for others. Leaders are people who go where there is no path, and they leave a trail for others to be able to follow. And John C. Maxwell talks about the different laws of leadership, and one of my favorite laws he talks about is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid, states that, your leadership lid. Let's say your leadership lid from a scale of 1 to 10 is an 8, right? you can only attract people up until level 8 and not any higher. If your leadership lead is a 4, you can only attract people up until 4 and not any higher. So people are level 4 and they are looking for team members that are like 8 or 9. It doesn't happen. If you want better, you become better. So you raise your leadership lead if you want to attract people. So if you want a level 8 type of a team member or a leader in your organization, in your team, and whatever it is that you're doing, you need to raise your leadership lead. Automatically you're not giving room for other people. Either people would grow to fill the gap, or you will attract other people to come in as well to help you on that leadership journey. And raise your leadership, focus on yourself, grow yourself from whatever leadership position you are right now, higher and higher, and you can attract the right people. So the law of the lid is very, very powerful. I use it as well in every single thing that I do. And I will say to all youths as well, anyone watching this, streaming this, right, my advice is just, hey, work on your leadership, develop your character, develop those skills, and you'll see certain things are being attracted to you. And it will become so easy that you'll be like, wow, I never really saw this coming. But because you became the person that could handle it, the universe and God found a way to attract the right people. Because as you are right now, there are people that are hoping and praying for you. They're hoping and praying for someone like you, the person that you need to become. So the moment and the quicker you become that person, there are laws in place that would attract those people to you, and you guys can work on great things together and actually start making things happen. I don't want to spend too much time on leadership because I've been given a very short time. But one thing I would say, just to wrap up on leadership real quick, is leaders really know how to connect with people, right? They know how to, so they listen, they learn, they observe from the people, and then they know how to lead. A lot of leaders today say they call themselves leaders, but they don't listen, right? They don't learn. How do you lead if you don't listen? You want to be quick to listen and slow to speak. It's one of the most important skills that you can have, right? Be quick to listen and be slow to speak in any conversation that you're having with anybody, right? Try to see things from their perspective. Listen to them, because when you listen to them, you know how to have more influence on them, and you know how to impact them as well, because you have something, you understand them, you understand how they think and how they reason as well. There are 3 questions that every person, let's call them followers. There are 3 questions that every follower always asks their leaders. Okay? 3 questions. The first question is, does this person care for me? Okay. And this is a test of your compassion as a leader, right? They're not going to ask you directly, but this is something that's going on in their mind. So when you're leading people, they're always asking in their mind, does this person actually care for me, or do they just care about themselves? Right? It's an unspoken question that every follower always asks the leader. They never say it, but they're thinking it. And it's not something they ask once. They're always observing, always re-asking the questions as time goes on. Does this person care for me? Which is the test of the leader's compassion. The second question that every follower asks is, can this person help me? And this is a test to the competence of the leader. Does the leader have the skills to take this person to the next level, to help them elevate themselves, right? Can you help me? And the third and final question that every follower asks their leader is, can I trust you? They never ask you directly, but they're always thinking about it. Can I really trust this person? It's an unspoken question. And this really is a test to the character of the leader. So the test of the compassion, do you care for me? The test to your competence, can you help me? And a test to your character, right? Can I trust you? Those 3 questions every follower always asks their leaders, not directly, but indirectly. And the moment you break one of those, either the compassion or the competence or the character, they will most likely not follow you anymore. So I just want to end that note there on leadership in general. If I had more time, I could spend hours and hours talking about leadership. But just to kind of wrap up here, I suppose, right? I, there's a quote once that I read, and it says, God's gift to us is more ability and talents that we will ever use in this lifetime, right? And our gift to God is to develop as much of this talent and abilities as much as we can in this lifetime. For me, when I heard that for the first time, it was so profound that I was like, wow, okay. You know, God has given us so much that we don't even know. You don't even know what you cannot, you don't know what you don't know. Right. So, what I mean by that is you don't even know what your capacity is right now. You think, based on your level of thinking right now, this is what you can do, this is what you aspire for. But remember, every milestone you hit, there's always something new to reach for. That's just human nature. So you don't know what capacity you can achieve right now. So there's so much abilities and greatness inside of every single one of us. And our gift to God is to make sure that we unravel this greatness, that we spread our wings in this lifetime and we soar, right? And we make an impact in people's lives, in our lives, in people's lives. And imagine if everyone was doing that. Imagine if every youth was actually doing that, right? Imagine the ripple effect that this will have in the world. Everyone is pouring into themselves. A lot of people are always trying to give and pour into others, but they're not preparing their tempo. They're not pouring into themselves. If everyone started pouring into themselves, and then as they're doing that, they keep sharing. Imagine the ripple effect and imagine the impact that we would make. I just hope that a lot of people don't just come into this lifetime and just exist. And there's a quote that goes, most men die at 25, right? But they're not buried until they're 75. And that's because at the age of 25, most men and women, they stop dreaming, right? They stop striving to become a better version of themselves. They stop reaching for bigger dreams and bigger goals because their excuse is, oh, I'm married now, or I have kids now, and I have to take things easy. And there's so many excuses that they throw out there. So at that age of 25, a lot of people stop dreaming really, really big, and it's just so unfortunate. So they would exist in this lifetime, 65, 75, 85, 100, however long they live up to. They will just exist and they will never really make an impact in this lifetime. And this is why Dr. Miles Monroe used to say all the time that the wealthiest place in the planet today is not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. The wealthiest place is not in South Africa where there's diamonds. The wealthiest place on the planet today is the cemetery, because in the cemetery you find dreams that were never realized, songs that were never sang, books that were never written, leadership development that were never developed, businesses that were never erected. The wealthiest place on the planet today is the cemetery. And I honestly think that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. Okay, they aim too low and hits, and I'm hoping that, everyone on this call, doesn't matter where you are, I'm hoping that you're not going to be like most people. Aim high, reach for the stars. You can be, you can do, you can have anything that you set your mind to. Okay, it's going to take some work, it's going to take some action, it's going to take you embarking on a journey that is going to transform the way you think, transform who you are, but it's of the better. It's you growing into who you need to become, a better version of yourself. It's not going to be easy, but it's important for you to become that person that can achieve those things. So I just encourage everyone to work on that. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, Pastor Glory, for giving me this platform and this opportunity. Like I said before, anytime something like this is happening where youths are coming together, everyone is sharing, everyone is trying to empower people, count me in. Okay, I love to share, I love to learn as well from others, and I think it's great what you're doing. So I'm going to hand it back over to you now.
Thank you so much,